Whether it's the ultra-orthodox whose refusal to serve in significant numbers nearly led to this week's collapse of the Netanyahu government, or a strident minority within the national religious community, which is principally opposed to gender equality within the ranks, the delegitimization of women warriors is a menace not only to the IDF, but to the values of Israeli society. We saw earlier in the program how religious coercion prompted the IDF to censor a video prepared by the Air Force as a tribute to its pilots, air defenders, logisticians, and tech warriors of the fairer sex. We've seen rogue rabbis and even politicians from Netanyahu's secular Likud party argue that a woman's place is in the home, that it's impossible to maintain a modest, God-fearing lifestyle while in uniform, and that the sexual tension of women fighting, training, eating, and God forbid sleeping in proximity to men in the field threatens not only military readiness, but the religious precepts and traditions that have sustained the Jewish people throughout the ages. From pre-state times, joint service has been the tradition that fuels and fortifies national unity. Today, 93% of all IDF jobs are open to women. Female enlistment, including religiously observant women, is at an all-time high. And the IDF now deploys 4 mixed combat battalions of infantry and armor guarding its southern and eastern borders. Now, that's not to say that women and men are expected to perform equally. They aren't. Each brings his or her unique strengths to the mission. It also doesn't mean that women didn't have to fight hard for their place at the front lines. In the late 1950s, national angst over the prospect of wives or daughters being tortured in captivity was so acute that the IDF closed most doors to women in actual combat. It took more than 40 years and a stubborn young lady who went all the way to the Israeli Supreme Court before those doors started to open again. But even back then, gender segregation was driven by widespread concerns over the safety of female combatants, and not out of fear from the fundamentalist few who view these women as a threat to the faithful, as temptations to sin. As a people's army, the IDF must reflect national values. The women within its ranks, nearly 50 of whom have been killed in action since the founding of the state, have proven themselves worthy. It's time for Netanyahu to stop pandering to the parochial interests of his coalition partners and start safeguarding the integrity of all IDF forces, male and female, under his command.